Okay guys, stick with me here because this is a bit sort of left field, a bit kind of bizarre, just my strange way of thinking about things. But when I saw these sneakers were coming out, the Nike Kyrie 6 trophies, I made a massive mistake because I read it wrong. And the thing is, I know this doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to put up a little picture right here. In fact, I'll cover myself with it. Doing. And what you're looking at right now, I think it's going to say is, I like cooking my pets and family. Don't be a psycho or something like that. And the thing is that without the commas in that picture, let's get rid of that picture. Showing. Without the comments in there, the commas, I should say, without the commas in there, it looks like you like cooking your family and pets. But if you put the commas in, it's like I like cooking, I like my family, and I like my pets. I like cooking, my family, and pets. And when I read this Nike Kyrie 6 trophies, it was that mistake that I made with the commas. And I was like, I wonder what 6 trophies they're talking about. What 6 trophies is Kyrie Irving won? Oh, the Kyrie 6 trophies. Duh. So, oops for me. It's just, I don't know, I just read it wrong, or I was all over the place. It's just a funny way to start a video, I know, and it was a funny sort of thought on how these Kyrie 6s are. I have already reviewed Kyrie 6s before. I did a first impressions video, actually I can put right here, doing the first impressions of the Kyrie 6s back in, I think it was November last year. And it wasn't very complimentary, apology Kyrie fans and Kyrie 6s. And that's partly because the sneaker to me is not so great. It's not terrible or anything, it's not awful, it's not like a Flyknit Jordan 4, which is just an abomination. It's not like that, it's not a horrible, terrible sneaker, it's just not my favourite sneaker. But the problem with the Kyrie 6s is that they followed the Kyrie 5s. And the Kyrie 5s are fire. Especially one of the very first sneakers I ever reviewed for the channel, bang, which was the Iket 5s, an absolutely gorgeous sneaker, one of my favorite sneakers of all time. I just loved that sneaker. And following on from that, the Kyrie 6s really didn't have much hope and much chance of doing very well, in my opinion. And this is a place of opinions at the Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker channel. And if you have an opinion, feel free to drop it down below, even if it differs from mine or if it is the same as mine. But in my opinion, you know, it's not as cool, it's not as good a sneaker as the 5s. And what I want to do today is I want to walk through this Kyrie 6 trophies, and I'm going to do that really deliberately, Kyrie 6 trophies, and look at all the different parts on it, and also talk about the story. This is a 2-part video today because we're going to talk about the sneaker itself, but also the story behind it, which is an absolutely cracking story and one of my favorite things about this sneaker. So without further ado, let's get into the Nike Kyrie 6 trophies. This is the Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel Day. It's my Niche Up Soon Day, my Niche Meeting Inside. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews, mostly in English. But these days I'm trying to drop one video in Japanese throughout the week. Last week it was this right here, Doing, the Super Stan. If you're interested in watching my content in Japanese, go ahead and follow that link right there. If you are watching and you're a Japanese speaker, I do recommend you hit the CC button down below to get the subtitles on in English, but reading English and listening to English at the same time is a lot easier than just listening to English. But with that being said, looking at this sneaker, I said it's a 2-part video today. We're going to talk about the sneaker itself, and then we're going to talk about the story behind that sneaker. And at the end of the video, I'll toss in another one of those comma mistakes that makes you sound like a psycho, just for a bit of fun at the end of the video too. So without further ado, into this sneaker. Now, an important thing to do is to look out for the upcoming release of the Nike Adapt BB 2.0 because it was a huge shoe last year, the Nike Adapt BB original or OG or whatever you want to call it. A massive, huge hype behind it, very expensive to buy, very expensive at resale, and then here we are. I think it's 13 months later, so it's more than a full calendar year later, and they're going to be dropping the BB 2.0s. And the reason why I'm making a big deal of that in a Nike Kyrie video is because the designer of the Kyrie 5s and 6s is also the designer of the Nike Adapt BB 2.0s. So if you're into your Kyrie 6s or 5s, then it makes sense that you might be into those BB 2.0s, and I will be reviewing them later in this week, so keep an eye out for that to come. But for now, into these guys. And as I said, full disclosure, this is talking about a 23 sneaker channel, and what you get from me is my opinion on things. I tend not to follow the hype. If I like it, I tell you I like it. If I don't like it, I tell you I don't like it. And it's the same with these 6s. Like I said with that first impressions video back in November last year, I was just giving you my straight up opinion of them. And one of my things that I didn't like about the 6s is the midfoot strap and how clunky I think it looks. And that is still true of these guys here. If you look at the midfoot strap across there in that poppin' red colorway, fine colorway, like my red sneakers. Seriously thinking about getting some red sneakers soon. Watch out for that on the channel, but we'll leave that for now. But the midfoot strap on there was just something that I was kind of like, not a real fan of. Now, talking of midfoot straps, LeBron 4s have an ankle strap, and that's a really neat segue to tell you that a LeBron 4 Grail is going to be coming to this channel in hand on Sunday, and it's a game that we play, and I drop hints throughout the week to try and work out what that sneaker is. So on Sunday, a LeBron 4 Grail is going to be in hand at the channel, and you guys hit me up with a comment down below if you think you know which sneaker that is. But yes, away from that ankle strap on the LeBron 4s and back to the midfoot strap on these Kyrie 6s. And yeah, I just think it's a bit clunky on there. I didn't really like it when I did that first impression review, and I also did another review which I can stick up right here about, I can't remember the name of it. It was a 2-shoe pack that was based in was it based in Egyptian mummies and stuff like that? I can't remember what it was. One was a grade school and one was a full-size run. And the grade school looked cooler than the full-size run. I was like, oh, why didn't you release the grade school one full-size run? I can't remember what it's called, but I will put it up right here, doing, and then you can see the name of that video and then know what I'm talking about. So this is my third look at Kyrie 6s, and in all three so far, it's that midfoot strap that's just not doing it for me. What does do it for me is the back of the sneaker, where you've got a really cracking detailing on the back there, and that massive, I think it's an eye on the back of the sneaker there, which represents that tie-up that Kyrie Irving likes to do between his sneakers and Egypt. And especially like Egyptian, is it mythology, Egyptian history, and things like that. So, so that midfoot strap, it's on there. Deal with it. They're not going to take it off. So, I just have to sort of say, yep, fair enough. But then if we come down onto the upper section of the shoe and look at the midfoot, especially, something I didn't particularly like. Now I know it's not. Golly, oh gosh. It's the Kobe Bryant thing. I haven't talked about it at the channel at all because my channel's not about basketball, and I think it would be rude of me to talk about Kobe Bryant. I don't know enough about him, and I think it would be it would be clickbait. So I haven't talked about him and the situation there, but I do want to talk about a particular shoe of his, which had, I think it was an Undefeated collaboration, which had at the back one sort of, I think it was a glossy finish, and at the front a matte finish or something like that. And in that video, and hopefully I can find it here, and I'll put the link up there. I'm running out of links. I hope I don't run out of links. And I talked about how I don't like a matte and a gloss finish on the same sneaker, and then on here, on these Kyrie 6s, it's the same again. You've got that matte and that gloss finish on the front and the back of the sneaker, which is something I just don't like in sneakers. I like my sneakers to be all one thing or another, and I'm not a huge fan when they mix and match like that with the materials. Not a problem with the colors or things like that, but when it's the materials, especially when they're opposites, matte and gloss, or I don't know, like suede and mesh. I don't really dig that kind of contrast, and it's something I don't really dig in these guys. But what I do dig is that they have a really cracking outsole, and hopefully I'll be able to pop up a little shot behind me here of that cracking outsole on these guys, which again references the Egypt theme on there, and to me it looks like mazes in there as well. I don't know if they are actually mazes, and if you got a pen and you drew a line you'd be able to escape from the maze, but they do look like mazes. And these guys, I think they have a speckled effect on them, if I remember rightly, which is popping and really, really fire. And then the final thing to do is to look at the insole on the other end of the sneaker up high, and that I wanted to save this till last because it connects to the story. This part 2 of this video about the story, and the story is that we're tying up the only championship ring so far that Kyrie Irving has got his hands on, which was in 2016, and 20 years before that, in 1996, Michael Jordan was getting his 4th championship ring. And the big thing about that 4th championship ring for Michael Jordan in 1996 was that it was his first championship after his father had passed away. I think they won the championship in Game 6 on Father's Day, and there's an iconic picture of him in the locker room afterwards, on the floor, emotional about the loss of his father, but winning the championship. And the tie-up to this shoe happens in 2 places. One is on that lining that I was just talking about at the top of the sneaker, because that lining is supposed to represent the carpet on which Michael Jordan was being emotional. I'm surely putting a picture of that up behind me here, and then you can look at that carpet right now, and I'll flick back to the lining. Not very good click of the fingers. Back to the lining, and you can see that sort of comparison between the two there. And then if we change tack completely and go from the high back end of the sneaker to the low front end of the sneaker to the bottom of the 2 lacing systems, you can see 2 dates written in there, and they are the dates of the championship rings of both players. The 4th of Michael Jordan in 1996, and almost exactly 20 years later, it's just a couple of days out, the first and only so far of Kyrie Irving in 2006. I think with the Cleveland Cavaliers. But like I said when I was talking about Kobe earlier, not a basketball man, love my basketball sneakers, but I'm not a basketball man if I don't feel confident enough to talk about the details of basketball and things like that. But that's the story that goes with this sneaker, is the homage to Michael Jordan's 4th championship ring, tied up to Kyrie's own championship ring, and that's where the colorway comes in, that's where the lining comes in, that's where the detailing at the bottom of the lacing system comes in. So the story itself is great, and I love that story. And I like it when sneakers have more than just a sneaker and they have the story. That's why I like those Eket 5s so very, very much. But for the sneaker itself, it's not really my thing, to be honest. So that's my review of the Nike Kyrie 6 trophies sneaker that's coming up. And like I said at the start of the video, I'm going to toss in another one of those comma things here, and I'll just put the picture up in front of me right now. That was a better click of the fingers, but you couldn't hear it because I said now right at the same time. And now you're looking at a picture and not me. And it says, "Let's eat grandpa." And I think that's a brilliant thing without the comma. And if you do put the comma in, it's like, "Let's eat grandpa." And that's exactly what it's like. Let's go back to looking at me, because that's much more interesting, right? Oh, that was a good one. Let's eat grandpa instead of let's eat grandpa. And then for these guys here, the Kyrie 6 trophies instead of the Kyrie 6 trophies. So that's my review today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found this content informative or interesting for that upcoming release. I think I'm right in saying, is it Valentine's Day? I think it's Valentine's Day these guys are releasing on, which is terribly close to that All-Star weekend when everything's releasing. So I'll be talking later in the week about the Don C tie-up with Kevin Durant, which are dropping over that weekend as well. And it's like, do you really want to do that when there's all that heat out there? But that's their thing. But one more thing about Japanese. I couldn't find whether or not these are going to be called the Kyrie Irving 6 trophy or trophies in Japanese. So if you're a Japanese viewer and you know whether it's going to be the Kyrie 6 trophy or the Kyrie 6 trophies, I'd really appreciate that. I've gone with trophy in the title, but if I find out it's different, I'll change that to trophies. Okay, for now it's time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out my content, and I truly appreciate it. I've been avoiding rambling on about anything but the sneaker in my videos these days. I used to ramble on for like a minute about subscribers and likes and things like that, but instead I've been putting graphics in. Let me know if that's something you appreciate and you think I should keep doing. But for now, it's time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out my content. But because I do this every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.